What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another update. Hope you guys are having a wonderful day here for today. We have a lot of stuff to talk about. I literally planned for this video, my friends. We got ourselves a lot to talk about in regard to the tropics. We're going to be breaking down every single storm. There's actually currently 5 storms we are monitoring currently, which is pretty crazy. So we're going to talk about every single one of them, breaking down with the the forecast models and everything like that, guys. And so today's going to be a pretty decently long video, I'm assuming. But if you guys do enjoy it, make sure you leave a thumbs up and don't forget to hit that subscribe button, y'all. If you guys are new to the channel, we greatly appreciate it. If you guys do want to help out what we do, links are in the description, including our merch, our memberships, and our donation link, guys, if you guys do want to help us out. But guys, without further ado, y'all, let's go ahead and get on into it. Alrighty, my friends, so first up, we're taking a look here at Tropical Storm Celia, here currently located in the Eastern Pacific. So Celia has existed for a few days and it's almost on its way out. Currently clocking in here at maximum sustained winds, so constant winds of 40 miles per hour here on the surface. Obviously some higher gusts can be expected. Central low pressure 1,004 millibars and rising. The higher the pressure is, the weaker the storm gets. So obviously that is kind of what we're talking about. So we are in a weakening trend, which obviously is a good thing. Now if we take a look here at the forecast cone, this thing is expected to be downgraded into a tropical depression, meaning 35 mile per hour sustained winds or lower is expected to be the case here. It's supposed to drop in intensity here by early tomorrow, pretty much later tonight, basically. So we got to watch out for that. So I'm not really expecting anything too crazy on Celia. I just want to go ahead and discuss it really quickly. Nothing too crazy is going on with this guy. This guy's been existing for a little bit, and it's moving into colder waters, which is going to allow the storm to fizzle out, and it's having absolutely no effects to land. Latest satellite imagery on Tropical Storm Celia does show that the convection is dying down. The storm's inside of the storm is dying down. You can obviously still see the pretty well-defined area of circulation, but like I said, the storms are kind of drying out here, my friends. You can obviously see that there's been really not so much action that's been going on, except for the latest frame here. A little burst of convection is ongoing, basically just thunderstorms. And so it's losing its storm out of it's basically a rotating storm, but destorming, basically, is what this thing is doing right now. So it's kind of really starting to dry out, my friends. Like I said, this thing's moving into colder waters. It's going to be fading out here pretty soon. So first things first, my friends, this is now the hurricane models. We're taking a look here at the HWRF model. Currently clocking in like near the 1,000 millibar mark. And as we do track down here in time, the time is literally just right here if you guys do want to follow along. As we do track down here for early tomorrow, so we are going to start to see the pressure actually only increase. Like I said, the higher the pressure increases, the weaker the storm does get. So like I said, this thing is on its way out. It's fading out. Like I said, it's not supposed to do any impacts anywhere else. So I think we're pretty good with this system. So now let's move on to disturbance number 1 here in the Eastern Pacific as well. So just to give you guys a reference, disturbance 1 here in the Eastern Pacific is located directly southwest of the Yucatan Peninsula. Here's Texas, here's Florida, moving down further down to the Eastern Pacific. Now this guy has an overall 20% chance of formation. So basically within the next 5 days, there's a 20% chance this thing could turn into some type of tropical system, but pretty much an 80% chance it won't if you think it's the other way. So then you have formation over the next 2 days or 48 hours. We're talking 10% chance. You know, guys, I'm not really concerned about this right now. Even then, it's moving away from most areas of land. We're not going to really dive into this. Our main concern is what's going on in the Atlantic. Now, what's kind of a bit odd, though, is that here on the GFS model, obviously we have Celia up here, but we do track down here in time. And obviously, Disturbance 1 is showing up here on the GFS model. Now, according to this run, it looks like it's going to be turning maybe into some type of tropical system down the line. But like I said, it's heading towards cooler waters and well away from land. It's not a big concern like I've been telling you guys. But honestly, it's kind of just interesting to see what this thing might do according to the GFS model. Now we're switching over here to the Atlantic, where we have potential tropical cyclone 2. This is where all the big news is at. Recently, the National Hurricane Center has just issued the first advisories here on potential tropical cyclone 2, currently clocking in at a maximum sustained winds of 40 miles per hour. Now, that is tropical storm force winds, but the characteristics of a tropical storm has not met the criteria. However, this thing has a overall formation chance in the next 5 days or the next work week of a high 90% chance of turning into a tropical system. We are expecting this thing to become a tropical storm and even a hurricane down the line, as you're about to see here. Overall formation through the next 2 days or 48 hours, clocking in here at a 70% chance, which is still pretty high. So we should expect this thing to develop here relatively soon. And as we're about to see, Well, let's look at it. So the National Hurricane Center does have potential tropical cyclone 2 turning into a tropical storm by the afternoon here tomorrow. Now, if you notice, there's actually a little bit of blue going on here. You might notice what that is. So the areas here across the far northeastern side of Venezuela, as well as the far southern Windward Islands, just covering a few island chains here. So basically, those are tropical storm warnings. We are expecting tropical storm conditions to occur kind of around the early morning hours here on Wednesday. So those areas here in the region should definitely monitor this pretty closely. I'd honestly say that even the entire northern stretch here of Venezuela has got to watch this pretty closely. Like I said, this is going to be this is going to be tracking quite close to a lot of the coastlines here in northern Venezuela. Now, this thing is going to become a tropical storm, or continue to be a tropical storm for the next several days until kind of around the afternoon hours here on Friday, where we are expecting this thing to potentially even turn into a hurricane once it moves out way into these open waters directly north of Panama. Then kind of around the afternoon hours here on Saturday, as you can tell here in the extended range here from the 4 to 5 day cone here, we actually see that this thing is going to be slamming against the eastern side here of Nicaragua, as we are going to be seeing here in the models as well. There's been a lot of agreement over the last several days. So these are the latest hurricane models in regard to potential tropical cyclone 2. I'm sure you guys have heard the term spaghetti plot, or the spaghetti models here. That's exactly what we are looking at. So these are the main hurricane models. So this thing is quite an agreement mode, switching directly to the northwest here, tracking directly south here of the Windward Islands. Like I said, there is those tropical storm warnings that is in effect here, kind of across these locations here. Now, we got to watch out for this, because like I said, this thing is going to be skimming across the northern edge here of Venezuela. Now, you can obviously tell, like I said, once we move in more out to those open waters here directly north of Panama, like I was talking about, for the first thing, it's actually a lot warmer, which will allow for potentially more rapid development to occur. But you can also tell how they kind of split out here. Basically just showing us that we have a little bit more disagreement in the models in the extended range here over the next pretty much 3+ days. So that is we are going to watch out for. Now, like I said, the models have been showing this for the last several days here. I do expect this thing to cause a lot of impacts here in northern Venezuela, as well as eventually crash into the side here of eastern Nicaragua. So obviously we're going to watch out for that very, very, very closely. All right, guys, so these are the same models, but now we're taking a look here at the intensity guidance in regard to how strong the storm is expected to get based off of the individual models. Now, you can see there's a lot of scattering going on here. A lot of disagreement is ongoing in regard to intensity. There's a lot more agreement in the track versus the intensity here. Now, obviously, we are now in tropical storm conditions, even though, like I said, it's not a tropical storm right now, but it will be tomorrow. As we do track down here in time, here is the bottom quadrant. You guys can't even really see it, so we'll go ahead and just scroll down here a little bit. We'll actually zoom out just a little bit so you guys can see here. So here's the forecast hour down here, and here's obviously the wind speed down the line. Now, you can obviously tell, like I said, a lot of the models do kick off here in intensity over the next few days as this thing does track into those warm ocean waters. Now, you can obviously tell once kind of we reach around that day 3, day 4 margin, you can obviously tell how the intensity across a lot of the models does plummet quite quickly. Now, there's a few other ones. There's a few outcasts going up a little bit higher, continuing to be a little bit more stronger. My assumption is that those are the models that show the storm tracking more north, which obviously is more away from land, obviously allows it to get a lot more, strength and stuff like that out of it. But obviously, like I said, the main models does have this thing absolutely becoming a tropical storm and potentially even into a Category 1 hurricane, as at least half of the models does support so. Moving on up here to the latest satellite imagery on potential tropical cyclone 2, you can obviously see we have a lot of convection, a lot of thunderstorm action that is ongoing here. It's definitely looking a lot better than it did yesterday, as you can actually kind of see here if we look very closely. You can actually see how those winds towards the surface are moving to the northwest. So, then we move up here just a little bit. You can actually see how they're moving more to the southwest here. So you can kind of see, like I said, it's not a perfect circle. It's not a perfect area of circulation, but it's definitely trying to. And like I said, by tomorrow, it should look a lot better. All right, now it's model time, my friends. We're taking a look here at the GFS. Once again, time's just right here, you guys, if you do want to follow along here in time. So, tracking down here in time, my friends, you can obviously see that we have ourselves potential tropical cyclone 2 located directly north of Venezuela. Yep, it's there, believe it or not. You can actually kind of barely see it. But as we do track down here into those warmer, more open waters, like I was talking about, like I said, the GFS model doesn't really show too much happening here across northern Venezuela. But like I said, that's just one model, though. So we're going to take a look at a few others here in a second. Now, once it moves into those open waters, it does gather a lot of strength before slamming the eastern side here of Nicaragua, at a kind of around a category 1 is what it looks like according to GFS. Now there's really 3 things that's needed for hurricanes to develop. One is being those warm ocean waters, which I can confirm to you that is there. Second is moisture supply. You got to have a lot of moisture to get those storms rolling, as well as no winds. If you have a lot of winds, it's going to help it's going to pretty much destabilize the whole entire storms, which is something we don't want. So I can obviously tell you right now, guys, the surface temperatures, which we're going to look at here in a second, is well in support. It has to be 26 degrees Celsius or higher. And right now we're taking a look here at the overall moisture between the lower and the upper portions of the atmosphere. So the areas here in the brown is showing some dry air. The areas here kind of in that greenish blue color is showing a lot of moisture. So like I said, there's a lot of moisture that's needed for these tropical systems to occur. So once again, time is up here, guys, if you do want to follow along here. So as we do track down here in time, like I said, once it moves into those open ocean waters here, you can obviously see there's a lot of moisture that's kicking off here right towards eastern portion here of Nicaragua as it makes landfall as, like I said, near category 1 hurricane. So first of all, yes, we have ourselves a lot of warm ocean waters. So we are going to see here right next, next coming up here, as well as, like I said, there's a lot of moisture that's there, which is basically storm fuel. Now for the last ingredient, that is what we call wind shear, basically just strong winds at certain levels of the atmosphere. We're taking a look at the atmosphere as a whole now, so there's a lot of winds, you're going to see it. So just to give you an example of where there'll be a lot of wind shear, is kind of located right here in these red and kind of oranges areas. Now here's where potential tropical cyclone 2 is located. So you can obviously see there's really not too much crazy shear that's going on there, which honestly is a bit more concerning because there's pretty much no limitations on this storm here. First of all 3 of those ingredients are absolutely in line, guys. So this is going to allow for a lot of quick intensification to go up. Do not be surprised if we see higher, higher intensities with the latest models that does come out, probably for tomorrow and the day after. It honestly could get pretty interesting. Okay, so guys, remember how I said that the ocean temperatures have to be 26 degrees or higher, just to kind of show you guys, that's actually how it is. Here, I actually looked it up just to confirm to you guys, to show you guys what I'm talking about. 26 degrees or higher, basically. So, here's the thing. We are watching the ocean waters, and as you can see where this storm is tracking, like I said, directly south of the windwards, north of Venezuela, and pretty much tracking right here towards eastern Nicaragua. Now, you can obviously see here, yep, all those temperatures are above 26 degrees Celsius, which, like I said, all of those conditions are favorable for rapid development, which is very concerning. All right, guys, so we're taking a look here at one more model. This is our ECMWF model. This is our European model. So both the GFS and the ECMWF models are known to be the most accurate models here. So these are the ones we are looking at as of right now. Not to mention, we already went over all the hurricane models and stuff like that with the spaghetti plots and stuff like that, but this is just to, kind of put that final layer over the cake here. So basically, like I said, we do track down here in time. You can obviously see, there you go, potential tropical cyclone 2 moving its way here to the west, directly north of Venezuela, tracking into those warmer ocean waters. Now, this model has it going a lot more further south here, still impacting portions of very far south Nicaragua here, but not as far north as what the GFS model still had to say. So obviously, just as a rough estimate, kind of what the GFS had to say, kind of more up versus now the ECMWF model kind of going a little bit more down. So yeah, there still is a little bit of stuff that needs ironing out by the time the storm actually does approach near these areas here, but we'll definitely continue watching it, guys, and absolutely we're going to keep you guys updated. That's what we're here for, my friends. So like I said, this thing does hit the eastern side here of Nicaragua. Now the crazy thing about this model is it has it continuing here in the eastern Pacific, which that might be quite interesting because it has such a narrow gap that this storm can easily just cross from ocean to ocean. Now still take a look here at the ECMWF. Now we're taking a look here at the moisture and comparing to what the GFS model had to say here. So obviously still kind of the same scenario here, maybe a little bit more dry air, going over Nicaragua in the beginning here. Not as much moisture, but I tell you what, it should still do the job. It should, should still be enough moisture in order to get the job done here. So obviously this is still pretty concerning, and between both models there is going to be enough moisture for this storm to basically move on. And lastly, same thing in regard to wind shear. There's really not anything that's going to be interacting with this storm. So obviously, like I said, all the limits are basically off here. We have no limits on this storm here, so we definitely got to watch this guy as we do project, as we do project here down in time. Now, here's the thing: depending on how this actually, depending on how actually this system does perform, if it tracks further north of Venezuela, I honestly tell you guys that it has a probable higher chance of turning into something more significant, more stronger. Now, if it rides more further south, right there on the coast of Venezuela, that is going to significantly weaken the storm here by the time it does move off towards the, towards the Nicaragua area. Like I said, the more further north it tracks, the more potentially stronger it could get. Now, guys, before we go ahead and finish up these 2 last tropical systems, I want to go ahead and say, guys, if you are enjoying it so far, consider leaving a like, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button, guys. This takes a lot of work to be into, guys, a lot of work to be put into, and I seriously absolutely appreciate it if you guys could. Be greatly appreciated. So guys, let's go ahead and talk about these last 2 tropical systems, and let's see what's going on down there. Alright, so next up, my friends, we're taking a look here at Disturbance 2, located here in the Gulf of Mexico. Now, the area of low pressure is currently located directly south here of New Orleans, I'd say off of probably at least 200 miles or so. This thing is tracking to the southwest. Now, there is a possibility, a small possibility, that this thing could develop into a tropical system down the line. Now, the National Hurricane Center does have a overall 20% chance of formation through the next 5 days. So, honestly, basically an 80% chance that this thing will not develop into a tropical cyclone. Throughout the next 48 hours, even lower, a 10% chance of development, 90% chance this thing will not develop over the next 2 days. Okay, first up, GFS model. So, as we can obviously tell here, we have ourselves our area of low pressure directly under here of Louisiana. Now, this thing is tracking its way here to the west, not even really showing anything too crazy. The pressure's not even dropping down into the single-digit 1,000 millibar range, which obviously is kind of a bit high for any type of tropical system, to be honest with you guys, according to this model anyways. So honestly, like I said, even though there's a low percent chance, I honestly don't even think this thing could potentially even form down the line, which we'll see what this does, but personally, I don't expect much out of this. Now, same as what we were looking at there with potential tropical cyclone 2, we're taking a look at the moisture. Now, there's obviously kind of a little bit of a difference here. You can obviously kind of tell it's split kind of in half. There's a little bit of moisture on the northern flank of this storm here with a lot of dry air directly south. So that could honestly basically limit even more development out of the system here. I mean, even if those temperatures of the ocean waters is very, very warm, it can't do much without a lot of moisture here. So obviously, I mean, there's a little bit, but honestly, it's also kind of mixing in with a little bit of dry air as well, which might actually limit development. And in regard to wind shear, there is a lot of strong winds that's moving up to the northeast, which actually might hint, basically might just throw off a lot of development either way. So basically, this storm is quite limited in the factor of what it could potentially do here down the line. Don't expect much out of it. All right, guys, finally moving on to the last system here. So this is Disturbance number 3. So we are watching this guy currently. It has an overall 20% chance of development over the next work week or 5 days and a 0% chance of developing in the next 2 days. This is not, we're not going to dive into models. It's still a bit too early on this system here. It just now popped up here for today. But the general location of where this storm could end up is tracking to the northwest and kind of crossing over the Windward Islands. A little bit more north than what potential tropical cyclone 2 is going to do. But like I said, we're not going to be diving into models on this guy too much because like I said, it's still pretty early. There's really no specific views of this currently right now. And like I said, basically the X is showing where the low pressure is located and the circle is where it could potentially develop in. So once that X moves into this circle here, that's where potential development could start. So guys, that's going to go ahead and wrap up the update here, guys. That took a little bit to make, but if you guys did enjoy it, leave a thumbs up and don't forget to hit that subscribe button, y'all. Y'all absolutely rock. If you guys do want to help out the channel, all the links are in the description, guys. We greatly appreciate it. You guys are the best. So I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your night here for tonight. I hope you guys have a wonderful day at work or whatever you do tomorrow. Hope you guys have a great week. But guys, we'll be doing another update here tomorrow on the tropics. We'll probably do another live stream, guys. So if you guys would like to join us, make sure you turn on post notifications. That way you guys get updated whenever we do go live. But guys, thank you so much for joining us. That's going to go ahead and wrap up the update for today. Take care, you guys, and I'll catch you all in the next one.